Hello and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to Fearless Wisdom, an introduction to Dzogchen. I'm Beth Korchinski. I'll be your host today. And on behalf of my colleagues, Stella and Danielle, and a host of language interpreters in the background, we're so glad that you're here. This event is being hosted simultaneously on Zoom and YouTube. We have over 5,600 people registered via Zoom and over 7,700 people registered via YouTube. Altogether, that's 13,350 people that have registered from over 100 countries around the world. How extraordinary. If you're joining us on Zoom, the chat is open right now. Please feel free to say hello and let us know where you're joining from. And if you're watching on YouTube, we see you too. So please feel free to say hello in the YouTube live chat. We'll be closing the Zoom chat once Rinpoche begins teaching to reduce distractions. So now we're going to do a language poll. And so for people on Zoom, we'll have the poll. You'll be able to select which language you're following along in today. English, Chinese, Russian, Spanish, French, German, Portuguese, or Japanese. Those are the options that are available today. And or maybe not Japanese, sorry. And we really appreciate hearing from you. The more people who respond to the poll, the better. This helps us to plan future programs. If you're on YouTube, today's YouTube stream is in English only, but we'd still love to know where you're joining from and what language you speak. So just go ahead and drop that in the live chat. We are genuinely curious about this incredible global gathering. So, wow, it looks like we do have some people who responded Japanese. So welcome everyone. And yes, there we go. There. Okay, so now we're going to give just a quick look at our program ahead. So Mingyur Rinpoche will be offering approximately 50 minutes or so of teaching, an introduction to the Dzogchen view, and a roadmap for the year of practice and study to come in our annual lineage transmission. Following Rinpoche's teaching, our instructors, Cortland Dahl and Antonia Sumbundu, will share an overview of the 2026-2027 transmission, and we'll have time to answer a few of your questions as well. Speaking of questions, if you have technical issues and you're a Zoom participant, issues such as sound or video, and you're on Zoom, please use the Q&A button and our team will do our best to assist you. YouTube viewers, if you're having trouble, try leaving and coming back again. That often has a magical way of fixing so many problems. Now, for questions about the practice or the teachings, we're going to share a QR code that you can use and a link that you can use to post your questions to us. By using this form, you can type your question in your own language, whatever it is, and we will automatically translate that. The link should be also in the YouTube chat as well. So please feel free to submit any questions in your own language. And now, with all of the business end out of the way, I would like to introduce Mingyur Rinpoche, a world-renowned meditation teacher. Rinpoche, as a child, experienced anxiety and panic attacks and learned to transform that suffering through meditation. And that journey is at the heart of everything that he teaches. His first book, The Joy of Living, debuted on the New York Times bestseller list and has been translated into more than 20 languages. He has collaborated with leading neuroscientists to study the effects of meditation on the brain, and even appeared in a Netflix series called The Mind Explained. Today, he joins more than 13,000 of us from over 100 countries to open this very special year of Dzogchen teachings. Please welcome Yonggi Mingyur Rinpoche.
Thank you, Beth. Welcome, everyone. So, Tergar, which is the our organization, every year we teach, especially for online, the different transmission, different teaching. So 1 year we focus on the normal, what we call sutta, meaning the practice of meditation, view, meditation, application, kind of like more open, more general level. And then next year we call Tantra, is working with a more what we call everybody by nature is wonderful. Everybody has basic innate goodness, and use that sometimes with the imagination and creation stage, completion stage, like that kind of related practice. And 1 year, what we call the nature of mind, like Dzogchen. So this year, we will introduce Dzogchen. Dzogchen meaning everything, the great accomplish. So everything is there. So how to practice Dzogchen? So normally we discuss that everybody has this wonderful innate quality, awareness, love and compassion, and the wisdom. These innate qualities are manifest all the time with us. Right now, when you are listening my talk, when you're watching through this 3 innate quality, that awareness, love and compassion, and the wisdom. So I learned this meditation when I was 9 years old. The reason is I always share about my own experience. The reason is I had the panic attacks. So at the beginning, I didn't know that was panic attacks. I thought it's like heart problem, maybe heart attack. Sometimes people around me, many of them have heart attack. So I thought, oh, some problem like that. So I asked my mom to check many doctors, and they all say you have good heart. But I thought, bad doctor, this doctor don't know anything about my heart. Then in Nepal, there's one very good hospital, like foreign hospital, and the doctor is foreigner from America. And that doctor is very good, and also a student of my father. So I thought, if I check with this doctor, he will tell the truth. So we went there and he checked everything very well. Then in the end, he said, oh, your heart is very good. Then I thought, oh, there's no problem with my heart. Then I thought, why I had pain around my chest, cannot breathe. Sometimes I cannot sleep well. So I discussed this with my mom. So my mom said maybe panic attacks. So she suggests to learn meditation from my father. And my first question to my father is, if I learn meditation from you, can I get rid of these panic attacks? He didn't say yes, or he didn't say no, but what he said is, don't get rid of it. I was a little bit surprised and disappointed. So I told him, okay, now I don't want to learn meditation from you. He said, believe me, don't fight, don't get rid of it. So then I asked him, why? So he gave me two reasons. The first reason is, if you try to get rid of panic attacks, then what happened? Panic become bigger. That time, I don't really understand. But then slowly later, I understand that I have panic of panic, fear of panic. So actually, that become kind of like fuel to panic, like food for the panic. Actually, that panic of fear of panic is maintaining my panic attacks. So that I discovered later. So later, I teach this meditation around the world, and many people feel similar experience, the anxiety, panic. Some people depressed. Some people feel lonely, and sometimes low self-esteem, that life has no purpose and I cannot do anything. So all these emotions, maybe some of you might feel those things. And if you feel those things, please raise your hand in front of screen. Though I cannot see you, but we can have some interaction this way. So if you feel one of those, raise your hand. I think normally many people having similar experience like me, but sometimes for me it's quite severe, but some of you just anxiety or something like that. So for this, what happened? One of the cause is when you try to push away, when try to get rid of, try to fight, then they become bigger. For example, when you tell yourself, say, don't think about pasta, don't think about pasta. What happened? We think about pasta. We think about pasta more. So that's the first reason. And the second reason is, my father said, actually no need to fight panic attacks, because there's a big mind, sometimes what we call the background mind, sometimes what we call the innate quality of the mind, which is, he give me example like sky. So sky is totally open, it never change, but you can have storm, right? Actually, my father asked me to watch the storm. Normally, I'm really afraid of storm. But that time I watched storm, and few weeks later, this huge storm come, thunderstorm, lightning and the wind and storm, rain. When the thunder comes, entire mountain will shake. I'm really afraid of that, but I stay inside my house, and through the window, I observe. So this storm comes in the sky, stay in the sky, dissolve back to the sky. So he said, is this storm can change the nature of sky or not? So I told him, no. He said, yes, that's right, correct. So we have inner sky. So the inner sky is always there. The panic attacks for me is like storm. So maybe not just panic, depression, a low self-esteem, loneliness, maybe hatred, craving. All these things are like storm in the sky. And no matter these storms strong, no matter they are intense, they never change the nature of sky. Sky is always beyond, pure, present. Nothing can harm to sky because you cannot really block sky, shoot sky, burn sky. Sky is totally grounded, indestructible. Yet, everything can occur in the sky. The storm can arise in the sky, stay in the sky, dissolve back to the sky. Pollution can come to the sky, but this pollution cannot change the nature of sky. So he said, when we try to connect with the inner sky, which is the fundamental quality of our mind, sometimes what we call basic innate goodness, and then slowly, you don't need to fight with your panic attacks. Let panic come and go. But we have something, we can experience something bigger than panic, something beyond than panic. So sometimes we have this example. When you watch a movie, so now you're all watching the video, right? So you see on the screen image of me and this color, red color, yellow color, white color, flower here. And normally when you watch a movie, same thing. You have different color, different story, good story, bad story, love story, horror movie, fighting story. But all this story, there is basis for all this story, right? Kind of like essence of all these colors and story on the, let's say, if you watch this in the cinema or screen, there is something that base for all these things. What do you think? What is the base? Normally the base is the light. So without that light, you cannot have story. You cannot have color. But because of that light, then all the story comes, but story doesn't change nature of the light. So similarly, our fundamental quality is the light, and thought, emotion, perception, like perception of the form, sound, smell, taste, bodily sensation, thought, emotion, is all this like story, colors. So now the important thing is we need to connect with our fundamental quality, the big mind or the background mind. So that teaching is called Dzogchen normally. How to first recognize and continue to practice that. And this teaching also what we call another lineage name called Mahamudra. Mahamudra meaning the great seal. And there are two major teachings about that. One is Dzogchen, the great accomplish. Everything's there. Dzogchen. And then Mahamudra. So normally there are two. So this year, end of this year and next year, we will discuss more about the Dzogchen. And here, Dzogchen here is what we call, there's one special text that my name is Mingyur Rinpoche, so I'm number 7. The first Mingyur Rinpoche have a special lineage holder of Dorje Drolö. So Dorje Drolö teaching, it has many different teachings, different practice within that. So one of these is Dorje Drolö Dzogchen. So we will focus on this Dorje Drolö Dzogchen for 1 year, whole year. And of course, this one is quite what we call the restricted teaching, kind of deeper teaching. So we will not open for everybody. So those of you who join already received the path of liberation 2. So in Tergar, we have anytime, anywhere meditation, then joy of living. 1, 2, 3, then path of liberation 1 and 2. So if you finish path of liberation 2, even not finish homo, it's okay. Just join level 2. That's one track. Another way to join is, requirement is you finish what we call ondo, like traditional full ondo plus you receive these transmissions, ondo transmission, all these things, or with the receive pointing out teaching. Pointing out teaching means pointing out nature of mind and regular meditation for 5 years. So you will the other guides will let you know about more detail about this requirement. So then we can join the Dorje teaching. But even if you didn't have these practices before, in Tergar, we have many different teachings. So you can join anytime, anywhere meditation. Now we have app. The name of app, Joy of Living. So you can learn from there. And these teachings has the element of the Dzogchen and the Mahamudra, the foundation, layout, the foundation practice. Then we have Joy of Living, 1, 2, 3. So you can begin those teachings. And this has element of these teachings. So maybe now I would like to tell you what is the real meaning of this real practice of this Dzogchen and the Mahamudra. So the main practice is what we call nature of mind. Remember the inner sky. We have this big mind or the background mind. So how to connect with that one? 3 things. View, meditation, application. View meaning from the begin with a cognitive level to recognize, to understand. So the view. Then second, meditation. Meditation meaning from experiential level. You have to learn how to be with it. Sometimes what we call being mind. So view could be thinking mind or analyzing mind, analytical mind. But the meditation begin with the being mind, not necessarily to analyze, not necessarily to ask any question, but just being with that. Then number 3, what we call application. So application is what we call working with the unconscious mind, like subconscious or imprint mind. So we have the most powerful one is imprint mind or subconscious or unconscious mind, very powerful. So to deal with that is application. So the view, I would like to introduce a little bit about the view here. So what we need to introduce here is our basic innate goodness. We need to recognize. So sometimes what we call the problem is too easy that we cannot believe, too close that we cannot see it. So that's the problem. Because these wonderful innate qualities with us all the time. So we think, it's nothing special. Or we think, because it's too close, we are looking something special always out there. It's just there here now. Sometimes too close, not easy to recognize. That's the problem. Otherwise, there's no problem about whether you have or not. All of you have this wonderful quality. Like the new skills, if you want to learn, we don't have before. We need to learn. For example, if you want to learn how to cook, you don't have this cooking skill with you, cooking knowledge with you. So you have to learn, right? You need to maybe look at your parents or maybe the cooking teacher and then observe and you try again. Then then slowly, 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 you will learn how to cook. But here, this innate quality is not like that. This awareness, love and compassion, wisdom is already there with you. And what we need to do is we need to recognize it's there. So there's a view, and then just be with that. Second thing is be with that meditation. Then remember that practice in everyday life while you're walking, talking, eating, all these things, you remember that. That's called application. That's all. You cannot do that with the cooking skill, right? Oh, I'm going to reveal my cooking skill. Do nothing, recognize. You will never learn cooking skill if you do that. So we cannot do that. But here, with this basic inner sky, practice of inner sky, we can do that. So now I will show you. I will introduce you how to do that. So first, I would like to focus on the view. So normally I ask, look like silly question. So how many of you can see my hand? Or how many of you can hear? Yes, raise your hand in front of screen. Probably you hear and some of you see, some of you hear. Okay, now the view, the introduction of inner sky, finish. Understand or not? How many of you understand? I think many of you maybe already received this teaching, and many of you are new. So I will tell you more. So when you say, yes, I saw your hand, or I hear something, in that moment, you experience awareness, love and compassion, and the wisdom, these three together at that time. So how? The first is perceiving my hand, perceiving the sound. That is what we call awareness. Sometimes what we call clarity, lucidity quality of the mind, cognize, consciousness, same meaning, awareness, consciousness, lucid quality of the mind, cognize, knowingness, sometimes what we call knowingness. So that fundamental quality of your mind that can see, can hear, can smell, taste, can feel sensation in the body, can think, can feel. Emotion comes within there. So there's the awareness. So background, the first quality of the background mind. Then second, what we call wisdom. Wisdom meaning recognize, identifying, discerning, detecting. So that's the wisdom. So when you say yes, that means you recognize. You recognize my hand. You recognize the sound. Anything, maybe a feeling, maybe a thought, maybe a pasta. Anything, we have this ability to recognize. That recognition is what we call, that discerning is what we call wisdom, right? And number three, when you see my hand or when you hear me, there is emotional reaction. Oh, nice hand. I like it. No, I don't really like it. So that reaction comes with sometimes physical sensation inside your stomach, heart, sometimes pleasant, sometimes unpleasant, sometimes you like, sometimes you don't like. So these reaction is what we call love and compassion. So what is love? Love meaning want to be happy, looking for happiness. How many of you want to be happy? Raise your hand. I think all of you want to be happy. This is why you come here to receive this teaching, right? I don't know how much happiness you can get from here, but it's too late. You're already here. So while you're here, you may watch like this way. If you watch this way long time, feel uncomfortable, a little bit uneasiness, you will change, oh, a little bit happy. Maybe like this, more happy. Maybe while you're watching, you will drink the tea, oh, happiness. And also, you will blink your eyes, right? So each blink is looking for happiness. If you didn't blink your eyes, maybe 30 seconds, suffering will come. So happiness, happiness, happiness. So what we call each movement of your body, even unconscious level, breathing also looking for happiness. So not just body movement, each thought, each emotion, everything is deeper level looking for happiness to avoid suffering. So looking for happiness is love. Wanting to free from suffering is compassion. But then what we call it filter by ignorant, not recognize, mind become very narrow, tight, fixed. The grasping or fixation mind. Then it's become aversion and a craving. So love become craving or attachment. Compassion become anger or hatred, become aversion. But they are same family. So now you all recognize, right? Recognize awareness, love and compassion, wisdom. And these three things are there all the time with every thought, every emotion, every perception. So my panic attacks, the nature of my panic attacks is awareness, love and compassion, and the wisdom. But I'm not recognized. What I recognize is solid, kind of like strong, unpleasant, kind of like I feel like the panic has self-entity, but exists by itself. And I feel like, oh, there's no way out. I feel like this panic will be with me forever. And I feel like, my nature, there's something wrong within myself. I feel like panic is part of me. So these perceptions are what we call ignorant, that fixed, solid, grasping, what we call the panic, then become suffering. So slowly, when we recognize that this nature of this panic is awareness, love, and compassion, wisdom, then slowly panic transform. What we call poison become medicine, obstacle become opportunity, problem may become solution. So for me, it really happens. So when I was, so I've been meditating when I was 9 and kind of lazy meditator because I was young. I feel like meditation is boring, And when I meditate, I hear my friends were playing. I hear from the window. I really want to go there. That time, we don't have television in my hometown. We don't have smartphone. All this is not there. So only entertainment is, go there, play with my friends. So it's on and off my meditation. When I was 13 years old, I thought I'm lazy. And I really practice meditation. It benefited for me. So I asked everyone to have permission to join long retreat, 3-year retreat. So I joined finally. First month, quite good. Not lazy. Second month, lazy coming. So together, when the lazy come back, my laziness invite my panic attacks. Now life in the retreat is 3 years, you know. So we have only 2 doors, one door in the front, one is side door. It's a kind of a closed environment. We practice there. We do individual session, group practice like that. Otherwise, not new people cannot come in. We cannot go out. So I thought, okay, how I can survive? Should I go out? I don't want to go out. Why? I feel embarrassed. I don't want to lose my face because I told all my childhood friends that I can do this retreat. And what they told me, we will wait you outside. Means you cannot finish this retreat. Wait and see. A few months later, you will come out. I said, no, 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 no. I will not come out. I told them, so when we are young, the peer influence, peer pressure is quite strong, right? So I don't want to lose my face to go out. But the panic is very strong. Cannot sleep, cannot do group pray, middle of group practice. I have to go out, stay in my room. So then I thought, what should I do? So should I go out or should I stay? Then in the end, I make decision to stay. So what I make decision is from today on, I'm going to learn how to live with my panic attacks, not fight. Because till then, my father said, don't fight with the panic attacks. You should welcome panic attacks. First, I don't want to do that. After 6 months later, I try, After 6 months later, when I learn meditation, then I try to say, welcome. Hello, panic, welcome. Actually, it really helps. Oh, then I thought, welcome is good. Then what I did is fake welcome. Hello, panic, welcome. If I say welcome, you will not come back again, right? It's kind of like dog chasing tail, but even that fake welcome, it helps. So now I thought, okay, I should do real welcome because panic maybe will not disappear. So I need to go on more than 2 years to go in the retreat. So I need to learn how to live with my panic attacks. So then I decided not fight with the panic attacks. So at that time, I began to really real welcome, kind of like not fighting, accept it, let go. So what we call letting go is not give up. So I continue to learn awareness. So awareness there, but what we need to learn is to learn to connect, to remember that awareness there and need to be with that, need to experience that. That recognition, that experience need to learn. We don't need to learn new awareness, but what we need to learn is the recognition need to improve. The experience need to improve. So I decide that. So then what happened? After certain level, symptoms are there. All the symptoms, the tightness, cannot breathe, sweating, headache. Then the image comes like, what if there's an earthquake suddenly comes, or lightning and hit my retreat house. These are there. But then the panic of panic is gone. Then after a few weeks later, slowly, I don't mind. I can see awareness with these panic attacks, not just sensation. I see with the image, with my perception, with thought, with the word. And there's a kind of like background belief. So panic become 4 pieces: sensation, image, voice, belief. And all these are in the awareness. So the panic helped me to remember to connect with awareness. And the deeper level, why is panic? Actually, it's want to protect, don't want to suffer. It's kind of like too much, the panic become too much protective. Otherwise, deeper level want to be happy, don't want to suffer. The love and compassion there. And of course, all these are recognizing, discerning, everything, awareness, love and compassion, wisdom, I can find with the panic attacks. So panic become support for my meditation. Panic become friends of my meditation. Then few months later, when the panic comes, symptoms still there, but I feel a little bit exciting. Oh, now my heart boom, 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 sometimes it's a heartbeat become very fast and then tight. Observing, there's some kind of like excitement, some kind of like feel happy about pain. So then me and my panic attacks become very good friends. And then what happened? Something bad thing happened. Should I tell you? If you want to me hear from me, raise your hand again. So something bad thing, meaning me and my panic become very good friends. Then one day, panic say goodbye. My panic attacks totally gone. Since from that time, I never have panic attacks. Of course, I fear, anxiety. Sometimes I go to Himalaya mountains, bear, I met the bear. So I feel frightened, of course, but not panic disorder. So then the rest of my retreat went very well, though I miss my friend, my teacher, panic attacks, my friend, panic attacks. Actually, I learned from there. I transformed from there. This is what I'm teaching now to many people around the world, to share my own experience because due to my panic attacks. So life go up and down normally. Sometimes we might face big obstacles, challenge, but what we call our mind always in our hand. And special, this background, the big mind, the inner sky, never change, never leave us. What we call not change, but we don't call it permanent or not like that, because the nature itself is beyond concept. So now we will try to practice a little bit about this awareness. So should we practice together a little bit to connect with the awareness? So now, please, everyone, keep your spine loosely straight wherever you are. Maybe you are walking, maybe you are sitting. It doesn't matter, standing or sitting, wherever you are. Just keep your spine loosely straight. And first, important is feel your body. So feeling your body is awareness, right? Remember? And wish to feel your body is love and compassion. So awareness there, love and compassion there. Then you recognize, you're hearing my instruction. You understand all this process is the wisdom. So each process, this wonderful innate quality are manifesting. So now just relax muscles in your body, in your head, in your stomach, and feel whatever sensation there in your body, maybe the room temperature, cool or warm, maybe feeling of gravity now in your body, feel that. And maybe tightness, you cannot relax, it's okay. experience of not relaxed. The essence is awareness. So you don't need to change anything. You don't need to control anything. Let them come. Let all the experience. Maybe there's a thought. Maybe there's emotion in your body, in your mind. Let them come. Let them go. You just, mind and body, just relax. And now appreciate that you have this body. Appreciate that you have this wonderful innate quality, awareness, love and compassion, wisdom. And through that, we can see. Seeing is like magic, actually. If you're not appreciate, we don't feel any special, but actually very special. You can hear, you can smell, you can taste the different food. And the body, you can feel and sensations there. And overall, we are still alive. And particularly, ups and downs in life is wonderful. It's colorful. And of course, up, we feel happy. We feel inspired, wonderful. But sometimes down help more. Like for me, the down experience, severe panic attacks, really helped me. Though it's very difficult, very challenging experience. Sometimes from the obstacles, from the suffering, we transform, we learn, we grow. So all the up and down, appreciate that. And now, these wonderful qualities are not just with you, people around you, your friends, your family members, they want to be happy, don't want to suffer. And they have this awareness, wisdom, all these innate qualities are there. But sometimes we are not recognized. Our mind so narrow, fixed, tight. Then these become aversion and a craving. Deeper level, we want to be happy, but sometimes we don't know the real cause of happiness. We are lost with the cause of suffering, which is aversion, craving, ignorance. So feel compassion to all of us, that may all of us to connect with the cause of happiness, which is to connect with our own awareness, love and compassion and wisdom. May all of us free from suffering and the causes of suffering. And not just people around you, everyone on this planet, all beings, have this wonderful nature, and they all want to be happy, don't want to suffer. But sometimes we are not recognize this innate quality, and we lost with the aversion, craving, and there's a war, conflicts, so many things going on that we lost with the cause of suffering and creating suffering for others and ourselves. So wish that may all beings are free from suffering and special causes of suffering, this hatred, this craving and ignorance. May all beings connected with the love, compassion, and wisdom, which is always there within us. May all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. The world become peaceful. May environment become balanced. May all of us recognize our innate quality. Okay, so this is the foundational practice for the Dzogchen and the Mahamudra, and special for the Dzogchen online course. This is the teaching, as I mentioned before, from the first Mingyur Rinpoche's treasure, the text, Dorje Drolö text. And within that, there are many different practices. So the creation stage practice that many of you learned already, and that is the blessing, root of blessing guru, root of accomplishment, idam Dorje Drolö, root of enlightened activity, the Dakini, Yeshis Mandarawa, Yeshis and Singhamuga, and root of protection, Mahakala Dakshe, root of prosperity, Zambala, yellow Zambala. If you don't know all this detail, doesn't matter. So these are a lot of these teachings are what we call creation stage, using imagination as part. Then we have Dzogchen. Dzogchen is the how to recognize the essence of awareness, love, and compassion, wisdom in the ultimate level. What we did is right now connecting with the awareness through the body, through the people around us, is with the relative level. So then the essence of Dzogchen is to connect with ultimate level. So ultimate level is awareness without object, love and compassion without reason, wisdom without concept. So all these three unity, when we recognize, when we experience unity of these three ultimate level, what we call recognize Rigpa. Rigpa meaning pristine awareness, or Mahamudra, what we call nature of mind. So that teaching will come in Dzogchen. And there's different way to emphasize, different emphasis in Dzogchen here in the Dorje Drolö, that to recognize first this three innate quality. Then there's a lot of teachings about special application, working with the 5 kleshas, what we call ignorance, aversion, craving, pride, jealousy. So how we transform. Sometimes what we call these 5 kleshas is 5 poison, but nature is awareness without object, love and compassion without wisdom, without reason, wisdom without concept. Is the nature of these 5. So how we recognize that? So then poison become medicine. And there's also special teaching about what we call sewa. Sewa meaning mixing. The main thing sometimes what we call true, we have this boundary, good, bad, right, wrong, so much. It's division. So how to free this boundary in the deeper level of mind? So sewa, the sewa practice like that. So hopefully many of you have readiness to join these things. Wonderful. Please welcome to join. Otherwise, also you can join the anytime, anywhere meditation, which is what I taught now, the essence there. Then Joy of Living. We have app also, Joy of Living app. So online teachings also there. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Mingyur Rinpoche. And want to let you know it's okay for you to leave now. We know you have a full day of teachings ahead in Portland. So thank you so much for your time this morning. And we look forward to continuing this journey with you throughout the year. Thank you, Rinpoche.
Most welcome. Bye-bye.
So next we're going to watch a very short video. And as we're getting that set up, I'd just like to offer a very brief but heartfelt thank you to our community of supporters. As you probably know, Tergar International is a nonprofit organization, and programs like this one exist because of the generosity of our community. So if you made a gift when you registered, thank you so much. You made it possible for more than 13,000 people from over 100 countries to be here today. And now we'd like to invite you to sit back for just 1 minute and take in this beautiful preview of what lies ahead in our year-long transmission.
Centuries ago, Guru Rinpoche concealed profound wisdom across the Himalayas, sacred terma or treasure teachings hidden specifically for a future age when they would be needed most. In our current era of rapid change, polarization, and destructive emotions, the time for these teachings is now.
So now is the nature mind. And here, the Dorje Drolö is the Dzogchen teaching aspect of nature mind. And this is my first time actually teaching this to others. And these teachings are really important, what we call the timely relevant teaching for the degeneration time.
Tergar is deeply honored to present an extraordinary new transmission with Mingyur Rinpoche, Dorje Drolö Dzogchen, the heart essence of the Primordial Secret. This immersion carries a profound lineage blessing, having been originally revealed by the first Mingyur Dorje.
And this commentary of this teaching wrote by Karmi Khenpo, and he wrote this in front of the first Mingyur Rinpoche's statue. And I combined this from the Dorje Drolö text, the root text itself.
Drawing directly from the root treasure text and this precious commentary, Mingyur Rinpoche will offer the pure nature of mind teachings from the Dorje Drolö cycle for the very first time. As the culminating year of a 3-year cycle, this 11-month exploration reaches the very pinnacle of the Buddhist path. To support your journey, this transmission features a new weekly live series with Khenpo Kunga, providing step-by-step guidance. In these warm and welcoming sessions, Khenpo blends deep instruction with interactive Q&A, providing a supportive space to explore the teachings, meditations, and study materials together. Discover a state of fearless, unimpeded, wakeful presence available in any moment. Join the Vajrayana online community for Dorje Drolö Dzogchen. Visit vajrayana.tergar.org to learn more and begin.
Okay, we're back, and now it is time to welcome our Tergar instructors who will talk a little bit more about the transmission and also have a chance to answer some of your questions. Cortland Dahl and Antonia Sembundu. Welcome, Cortland and Antonia.
Thank you so much, Beth.
Thank you so much, Beth. Great to be here with all of you and with you, Antonia. So we are incredibly excited to be kicking off this transmission. You know, we've had a series of transmissions now for many years. We have a special teaching that we focus on each year. And every year we're excited. Every year we talk about how special each of the transmissions we're doing truly is. And of course they are. These are all treasured teachings in this lineage. But this is really a truly unique year. This is the most special, treasured profound teaching from Mingyur Rinpoche's own personal lineage, and we're gonna receive these teachings and instructions in a way that I think is really quite unprecedented. So when I think back to my own life as a meditator and a practitioner, I remember the first teachings that I ever received on Dzogchen and Mahamudra, these special nature of mind teachings that we're going to be exploring this year. And the first retreat I did was this is back in the late 1990s, almost 30 years ago. And it was one of the most transformative weeks of my life. I think it was like a 5-day retreat. I was so moved by these teachings. I'd already been meditating, I think, for maybe 5 or 6 years at that point, but it just completely changed not only my meditation practice, but really changed my life and set my whole meditative trajectory in a new direction that was incredibly profound. And at the same time, I also remember going home after that retreat and feeling like I was just on my own. I was living in a place where I didn't have a lot of friends who were doing these practices. There weren't any online courses or anything like that at this time. There wasn't much of a community. And so that incredibly powerful experience I had, it didn't go away. I still remember it, but I just didn't have a lot of support for it. If we were doing this 100 years ago, we would have received these teachings sitting in a monastery with a whole community around us, right at the feet of these amazing masters. And then as we went forward to practice them, we would continue to be surrounded by that community. And we would continue to have all of the support of a whole world that is dedicated to these very teachings. But of course, that is not the world we live in now. We have our attention pulled in a million different directions, and rarely is it being pulled towards recognizing our true nature. And so, in many ways, what is happening this year is really us trying to recreate this world of support that will help keep this spark of inspiration and hopefully a spark of recognizing the very nature of our own minds alive in our experience so we can have conversations and connections with other people, not just in a retreat, but really in an ongoing basis throughout the year, no matter how busy we get in our lives, so that we can get those amazing instructions, again, not only for a few days once a year, but we can be getting them in an ongoing basis, really at home, week in, week out. We can continue to learn, study, deepen our practice, and be hearing from people all over the world about how we can bring these teachings to life in our own world, in our own jobs and families and relationships. And you already heard some of the details, but this is really unprecedented. So we're again very excited to share this with you. I'm sure I speak for you, Antonia, as well. We're excited about this. This is super meaningful for us as practitioners as well. So Antonia, maybe I'll invite you on. We'd love to hear your thoughts and reflections as we kick off this amazing year-long transmission.
Yeah, Colin, I'm so inspired by what you say about, us in our situation, living in this time and age, and how we now get the opportunity to really receive these instructions and practice with them in a very authentic way. Because we will be also having 3 shorter retreats with Mingyur Rinpoche, right? So we will have the opportunity to receive the instructions and to practice with them, and then continue to practice with them on a daily basis, and also to really bring it into our daily life. And Rinpoche talked about how application is such an important part of these practices, that we really work with them in our daily life when things arise. So I think this combination of having the instructions being sort of bit-sized to us, we get instructions, we introduce to the view, we practice with it, we get new instructions, and we have this opportunity to really follow the path like that. I think that's extremely exciting. And maybe also to say that for this transmission, we also have another classical setup, I would say, right? So we have Mingyur Rinpoche, the wisdom master, the lineage holder, who is, as he's saying, for the first time sharing, this this treasure that he is the lineage holder of, which is so extremely important and wonderful. And really, I think this, we see how much a big part of this transmission is also the embodiment, right? So we get a chance to receive this from Mingyur Rinpoche, not just through his words, but through his embodiment also. And then we also have Khenpo Kunga, who is a very important part of our community also, and who has been practicing also for many, many years and so forth. But he also have this whole scholarly background, right? And we have Khenpo Kunga on a weekly basis taking us through the commentary also. So we get everything, I would say. We have, guided meditations led by you on a weekly basis also. So I think we're just extremely fortunate for these next 11 months to really have an opportunity to not just to be introduced in a sort of superficial way, but actually to really apply it in our life and let it suffuse with our own minds. So yeah, that's wonderful.
And just to piggyback on what you mentioned, Antonia, this is actually something that's quite new for those of you. I think many of you are probably already subscribers in Vajrayana Online. Many of you may have been taking part for years. But as Antonia just mentioned, something that we've never done before is have this weekly teaching where we're not only getting the distilled essence of the teachings, which we get from Mingyur Rinpoche each week and each month, but Khenpo Kunga, who just finished his second 3-year retreat and who has actually focused specifically on this cycle of teachings. Like this is actually his core practice, is this Dorje Drolö cycle. And he's now done a second 3-year retreat, just very recently finished. And he's going to be teaching an hour, hour and a half every single week. So we're going to be getting not only these 3 retreats throughout the year that Antonia mentioned, the ongoing online course where we'll continue to hear from Mingyur Rinpoche and have all sorts of live weekly sessions and monthly sessions, but also these really in-depth teachings. And we've actually never had such a depth of instruction before. And again, from just truly, truly extraordinary teachers. You've all met Mingyur Rinpoche. If you hadn't met him before today, of course, you just met him here in this session. But Khenpo Kunga, who's going to be leading these weekly sessions, is one of the most wise, kind, caring people you will ever meet. He's exactly what you would hope for in a teacher and is so deeply practiced, not only as a scholar, he's an amazing scholar, but deeply embodies the teachings, again, as you mentioned, Antonia. So this is just really an incredible opportunity. It's going to be an amazingly, hopefully, very accessible, but also very deep exposure to these teachings. So what do you think, Antonia? Do you want any final comments, and then we can open it up for some Q&A?
Maybe just to mention, now we are talking about inspiration, right? Because I think that is such a very important part of our practice, isn't it? Especially when we start something new. And this year, like we've been doing other years also, we will start with voices. And so we will begin also with a series of interviews with some of the very central people who have translated a lot of these Dzogchen texts and also who have practiced them and who are teachers in their own right. And we'll have that opportunity also to, hear from people, again, maybe some that we can relate to, who also have a life that in some respects more similar to others. And really, have that sense of being part of something and being inspired and seeing that it's possible and that it's possible to be excited for these teachings for the rest of our lives. So yeah, that's also a wonderful beginning.
So Beth, if you want to, I know there's some questions and comments coming in. Why don't we open it up and see what is on people's minds?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Court and Antonia. So someone wrote a question in response to something Rinpoche talked about and asks, Are you saying that by accepting our worst experiences, we open up to a bigger reality?
Yeah, I can start this off, and Antonia, I'd love to hear what you have to say. So this is really one of the special, you might say, hallmarks of this particular approach to meditation, is that it's rooted in not trying to fix ourselves, but rather getting in touch with the parts of ourselves that were never broken. And what that means is that even in our most neurotic moments, even in the things that we find most challenging about ourselves or about the world, once we learn how to look, and this is actually a lot of what these teachings are showing us is how to look, we can discover that awareness is there in every thought, every emotion, every experience. The currents of love and compassion are there, insight and wisdom, that actually all of this stuff is there all the time. And we just haven't learned how to see it. So for me, I actually started meditating largely because I had a fear of public speaking. And I had tremendous social anxiety. And I never would have guessed in a million years that I would be doing stuff like this all the time, where I'm speaking in front of large groups of people. And I think what this has taught me is that even in moments like this where we might be anxious or we feel overcome by our emotions or we're just having a difficult time or everything in the world is so challenging, we just feel stuck with that or overwhelmed by that, that actually there's tremendous care going on as well. There's tremendous insight that's operating. And it's really just how we tune in to those currents in our own experience. And then we don't have to fix ourselves because we've gotten in touch with the parts of ourselves that is already whole and complete. So that's, I think, what he's pointing to. That's what we're going to explore this year through this tradition. But Antonia, this is such an important question. I'd love to maybe hear your thoughts if you don't mind me putting you on the spot.
Yeah, first of all, I really love the question, because I think that this question is pointing directly to what Rinpoche talked about as the view, and how we are introduced to a new perspective. So we're walking around in our life and we know our situation, and we often see that what we're doing is that we're actually walking around in circles, right? we hope for a new result, but we keep doing the same things. And then we're actually introduced to a new perspective. We are introduced to a new understanding, and it's a radical one. So I understand this question. Are you saying, like this is what? Are you saying that I should do everything that I absolutely do not think is a good idea? And then we allow that to be like a possibility. So rather than, we don't need to immediately say, yes, okay, then I do that. But we can begin to feel into what would that mean? And how would my life be if that was the case? And that's when we begin to experience this new view. We begin to experience this new understanding. And then that's where we see that what we thought was the way things were, what we thought was really preventing suffering, what we thought was leading to happiness, was actually not the case. That there is another possibility. But it sounded so radical. It sounded so unlikely. But so I love that openness that comes with this, what? And then, oh yeah, then we practice that. We grow into that view, and then we begin to experience that. And then, okay, then based on our own experience, the world begins to open up, and we begin to see that actually the way I thought the world was and the way I thought I was, that's actually not the case, because I was not in touch with the background mind. I was lost in the sky, in the clouds and all of that. I didn't know about this background mind, and now I'm introduced to it, and I begin to experience that, and that changes everything.
Thank you so much. Those were beautiful responses. We have a lot of students tuning in who have just completed their Path of Liberation Level 1 and 2 retreat with Mingyur Rinpoche, and are wondering about combining the Path of Liberation practices with this transmission. One questioner asks, are they complementary? And someone else has a practical question of, would I be taking on too much to do both Path of Liberation practice and this year-long transmission?
Yeah, these are also very important questions. So first of all, yes, I think if you have Path of Liberation level 1 and 2 and so forth as your main practice, these teachings and the instructions that we will be working with the coming 11 months, they will inspire your practice and they will nuance your understanding. So it's something that will be adding to what you're already doing, right? So it will give you more understanding and more understanding of the context and everything. So it's absolutely something that you can do. So you can think about you're doing the Path of Liberation, and that's your main practice, right? So you don't, and then so you continue doing those practices on your daily basis, and then these new teachings will simply inspire and inform what you're already doing. And then I think it's up to everybody to see how much we can do. So nobody's asked to do more than what's possible for us. But I don't think that this course is coming with a commitment. It's not like there's a commitment of a certain number of hours that you have to practice on a daily basis also. So yeah.
Maybe just to add to what you mentioned, Antonia, I think this is equally true for those of you who might be practicing in other traditions. You might have another teacher or another daily practice that you do. So the Path of Liberation that Antonia is mentioning, that the questioner is asking about, that's the step-by-step training that we have in the Tergar community. That's kind of like the core daily practice that people are doing. So as you mentioned, Antonia, what we're talking about here can very much supplement and enrich that. And so just to mention, I think that's equally true if you have your daily practice that you do, you don't necessarily need to set that aside. This can just be a way to deepen and, as Antonia said, to bring more nuance and more inspiration into what you're already doing. You don't necessarily have to set anything aside. It's meant just to support you wherever you are in your own practice.
Thank you. And then another person asking about the Dorje Drolö Nundro. They've finished up, or they're in the process of finishing up another Nundro, and wondering, do they have to do the Dorje Drolö Nundro in order to continue in the Dorje Drolö cycle of teachings?
Yeah, that's an easy one. No, you don't. Mingyur Rinpoche is very, very open about what Ngundro people do. So Dorje Drolö, the Ngundro is the one that we're currently focused on in the Tergar community. But there are people who are doing the Karmakagyu Ngundro or other Nyingma Ngundros or even other lineages. And it's totally fine. You can just continue to do the Ngundro that you've been doing and complete that. And you don't necessarily need to do the specific Dorje Drolö Ngundro for these teachings. So yeah, you can just work with whatever Ngundro you've been working with is totally fine. Or for people in the Tergar community, if you're doing Nectar of the Path, similarly, you can just continue to practice Nectar of the Path, which is part of the Path of Liberation teachings, and that is fine too.
Yeah, and maybe we should also mention, because this is also the 3rd year where we are having teachings from the Dorje Drolö Terma. So 2 years ago, Mingyur Rinpoche was teaching on the Dorje Drolö Nundro, right? And some people are doing that now. Last year, it was the Dorje Drolö Sadhana, and some people have been doing that and are doing that. And now it's the Dzogchen part. And Mingyur Rinpoche is not requiring that we do this, the Dorje Drolö Nundro, or that we do the Dorje Drolö Sadhana in order to receive these teachings. So we can come into it in these different ways that we are Scotland just mentioned. So this is also something that is not always the case, right? Sometimes in order to actually receive the Dzogchen teachings from a specific cycle, you also need to have completed the Nundro and the sadhana and so forth from that cycle. But this is not the case here.
Thanks, Antonia. And that actually leads to another question that was submitted. Someone is wondering if Rinpoche will teach the whole cycle of Dorje Drolö starting from the Nundro again in the future.
I don't know. I really don't know. I think this is the only thing I can say.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't know if we'll do it again in exactly this way. But the good thing is that a lot of the transmission that Antonia just mentioned over these past 3 years, that these are all courses that are now in the library of Vajrayana Online. And so a lot of this is available where people can go back and review some of these things. We're trying to find ways where the live events as well can be more available, more widely available than they are now, even the previous events. So at least parts of it, at the very least, will be available on an ongoing basis. But as Antonia said, I think Mingyur Rinpoche is unpredictable, so hard to say for sure exactly how this will play out in the future. But it's a central part of this lineage. There's no question about that. So I'm sure for years to come, we'll continue to be touching into these teachings in different ways.
Thanks. And how does Dzogchen practice relate to Vajrayana Yidam practice? This person is saying it is typical of our mind to want to separate everything, but how can they be integrated with each other?
Yeah, that's a great question. We could spend a few hours talking all about that. But from a general point of view, I think you could say that the heart of this whole tradition is getting in touch with our own true nature, what's sometimes called our Buddha nature in some traditions, or in this tradition with pure awareness or non-dual awareness, the nature of mind. And then there are other practices, and I should say, and that's what Dzogchen is all about, and Mahamudra equally in the Kagyu lineage. So that's kind of the heart of the tradition, and that's what we're exploring this year. But then you have many other practices which are really working at also putting us in touch with our true nature. But they do that by loosening up all the mental and emotional patterns that keep us from seeing our own true nature and the nature of mind and that keep us, even once we've had a glimpse of that nature of mind, from stabilizing that and really embodying that in our lives and bringing that into our day-to-day lives. And so that's where practices like sadhana practice that was just mentioned, this is where you imagine yourself oftentimes as a Buddha, and you just imagine you're radiating love and compassion and filled with realization and wisdom. And here we're just using the imagination to shift the perspective that we normally have of ourselves, which is we see ourselves as just filled with all sorts of flaws and shortcomings, all sorts of problems that need to be fixed. We just see everything through the lens of what's wrong and we miss what's right. And so here we're just using the imagination to loosen up all of those old patterns and to open us up, actually exactly as Antonia, as you mentioned earlier, just to the possibility that there might be something else going on that we simply haven't learned to see about ourselves. And so in a way, they're a beautiful complement. So if you're doing those practices, again, as we both mentioned, you don't need to set them aside. You can bring nature of mind practice right into the sadhana practices you're doing. There's many ways to do that, but they're very complementary, you could say. And as you progress with the practice, you can actually do all of those imagination practices really almost as an expression of the nature of mind practices you learn in Dzogchen. So at the beginning, it might feel almost like you're alternating, but slowly they flow together and you can almost do them as one practice. You're just using the imagination within that wider context of nature of mind practice. These are really great, really great questions, by the way. Antonia, anything you want to add to that?
No, I think that's good. That's beautiful.
Great. And what are the differences between Mahamudra and Dzogchen? Can they be practiced simultaneously?
let's give this to Cord.
I feel like I've answered this question lately. For some reason, I've been asked this a number of times. So very briefly, I think you could say that these terms Mahamudra and Dzogchen are pointing to three different things. The most essential point is that they're pointing us to our true nature, to the nature of our minds, as you've heard us talk about and as you heard Rinpoche talk about. In that sense, they are exactly the same. When we say what really is Mahamudra, it is the nature of our own minds. It is who we truly are. Like we are Mahamudra, we are Dzogchen. So in that sense, again, it's completely the same. That there's not a different nature of mind or a different true nature that Mahamudra is accessing versus what Dzogchen is accessing. So in the most essential way, they're the same, and they're pointing us towards the same recognition. However, there are different lineages. So I mentioned there's three things. You could also say that there are lineages through which these teachings have been passed down. And that is where you find a difference. There's just different people, different texts, different, a whole world around each of these lineages. So you'll kind of see, hear different names mentioned, for example, and really important teachings that are important in each of these lineages. So the lineage is a little bit different. And the other thing is just the instructions themselves. These are paths of practice. There are meditations we do and instructions we receive. And again, although they're pointing us towards the same thing, the structure of the path, so to speak, is a little bit different. So again, you might be doing slightly different practices from time to time, different jargon and languaging and so forth. But in the most essential way, they're really the same thing. And you oftentimes hear them mentioned interchangeably. And if you've been practicing Mahamudra, almost certainly you'll find this incredibly supportive. It's like you're hearing about the same thing, but maybe in a slightly different way. And it can be really helpful just to get that new perspective. So I know Antonia and I, and of course, Mingyur Rinpoche, equally study and practice both, and they're very, very complementary. And I think most of the great masters in these lineages have practiced and studied both.
Thank you. And then one final question before we move into the wrap up. But a lot of people are expressing concern because they know they don't meet the prerequisites that Mingyur Rinpoche mentioned. And of course, Rinpoche recognizes that too. And therefore, we're also offering as an alternative in the year-long transmission, the option to take the Bardos course. Antonia, could you say just a few words about the Bardos teachings for people who maybe don't know what that is? And we'll give more details at the end about the two transmissions.
Yeah, so the Bardo teachings are also really, really important teachings and beautiful teachings, both for our life now and also for our life in the future, because it's teachings that will help us recognize in our daily life now, but also exploring what will happen at the end of our life and what happens in between lives. So these are really, Bardo means intermediate states. So everything is intermediate states, and we will learn how to practice with whatever situation we're in, and we will learn how to recognize in every situation that we're in. And the Bardo teachings are really also coming from the same stream as the teachings that we will be working with here. So in many ways, I think that it's also really wonderful that we have this opportunity to work with the Bardo instructions and receive these teachings from Mingyur Rinpoche this year, and to be practicing some very important instructions for all of us, no matter where we are in our life, if we are at the beginning of our life, if we're in the middle, or if we are at the end of our life.
Thank you both so much for adding all this wonderful details and responses for the questions that people had. And we're going to wrap it up now with a little bit more detail about what's on offer during these two transmissions. So we're going to share a little slideshow, and I'll talk everyone through that. So let's start with our first slide. So what we've talked about today, and what Rinpoche talked about, and Cortland and Antonia, is just the beginning. So as we mentioned, this is the first time that Rinpoche is offering these rare teachings that are at the core of his lineage, and that they come from a treasure teaching connected to Dorje Drolö. And it was revealed by the first Mingyur Rinpoche, called The Heart Essence of the Primordial Secret. And the next slide, please. So this timeline shows you how the timeline of the Dorje Drolö teachings. So starting with live sessions or Voices of Dzogchen sessions in August, and then going all the way through June of 2027. And at the heart of this is the 11-month immersion course, which will be on Vajrayana Online beginning in September. And you'll have pre-recorded video teachings from Mingyur Rinpoche. But as we've mentioned, a significant part of this transmission will be live, including the weekly live series with Khenpo Kunga, teaching on the complete commentary on the root verses, weekly live guided meditations with Cortland Dahl, Dharma Geek sessions with Cortland Dahl, and heart-to-heart conversation and sessions with Antonia Sumbundo. On the next slide, we'll see these are the teachers and guest teachers that will be involved in the Dorje Drolö transmission, Dzogchen transmission. So obviously Mingyur Rinpoche and Khenpo Kunga lead the way, but we have remarkable guest teachers such as His Eminence Garchen Rinpoche, Mathieu Ricard, Sangye Khandro, Lama Choki Nima Richard Barron, and Eric Pema Kunsong, as well as our fabulous guides, Cortland Dahl and Antonia Sumbundo. And in our next slide, we're going to go talk specifically about the Voices of Dzogchen, which is the first course in the transmission. It's a month long, and it's open to everyone. So no prerequisites are required for this portion. And it's a series of webinars and conversations with our guest teachers. So the first one is offered this Wednesday, August 5th, with Lama Eric Pema Kunsong in conversation with Antonia. And the Voices of Dzogchen series is designed to prepare you to continue into either the full Dorje Drolö Dzogchen immersion, if you have received those pointing out instructions, or our parallel 11-month program on the Bardo teachings, which is open to everyone. So both of those programs start in September. So I want to speak first about our first retreat that's coming up for the Dzogchen teachings, and that's on the next slide. So this is the Primordial Secret Dzogchen teachings on resting in the natural state with Mingyur Rinpoche, and that will be taking place online on August 14th through 16th. And in this opening retreat, Rinpoche will begin transmitting the first set of teachings from the cycle. So it is a precious opportunity. There are prerequisites for this retreat. So on the next slide, we're going to just talk a little bit more about the prerequisites. So as I mentioned, Voices of Dzogchen is open to everyone, no requirements. pre-requirements, but for the full Dzogchen transmission, you only need to meet one of the following conditions. Option 1 is you have attended a Tergar Path of Liberation Level 2 in-person retreat with either Mingyur Rinpoche or Kempo Kunga. Or in the second option, that you have received a Nundro transmission and Nature of Mind pointing out instructions in person from a qualified lineage holder, and that you have had at least 5 years of regular meditation practice. So these requirements were set in consultation from Mingyur Rinpoche, and we do ask that you honor them. As we mentioned, we have an option without prerequisites, and that's the Bardos immersion. So for those without the prerequisites at this time, or for anyone who's just drawn to explore one of the most profound topics in the Buddhist teachings, we're thrilled to have the Bardos Wisdom for Living, Dying, and Beyond. Also an 11-month immersion program open to everyone. And we'll be exploring the 6 Bardos through 2 core texts, In Love with the World, which was written by Mingyur Rinpoche, and Padmasambhava's Natural Liberation. So let's look at the timeline for that transmission. Very similar looking. So these Bardo teachings also originate from a terma or treasure text and are an essential part, as Antonia mentioned, of the Dzogchen teachings. So we'll begin our journey with Voices of Dzogchen before going into the topic of the Bardos in September. And there will be online courses, retreats, and live sessions throughout the year, including in September. Tim Olmsted will start leading a new monthly live session in his Heart to Heart series on aging, illness, caregiving, and the profound changes that come later in life. There will also be bi-weekly live sessions with Tim Olmsted and our guide Kasumi Kato throughout the year. And let's look at the teachers for the Bardos immersion course. So it includes Mingyur Rinpoche and Lama Trinley, along with, as I mentioned, Tergar guides Tim Olmsted and Kasumi Kato, supporting participants throughout the transmission. And we're also honored to welcome Roshi Joan Halifax as a guest teacher. She is a deeply respected voice on the teachings of dying and compassionate presence. And then just a note on language, that question has come up a few times as well. For those of you, for Vajrayana online courses and live sessions, whether in the Dzogchen or the Bardos transmission, will be offered in English only. However, all of our online retreats will include interpretation in at least Chinese, French, German, Japanese, Portuguese, Russian, and Spanish. And this last slide here, we're showing this is the platform where so many of these teachings will happen or be accessible to you. And so it lives on our Vajrayana online platform, which is our Buddhist learning site. We actually now have over 25 courses and more than 200 guided meditations, ongoing series of weekly live sessions, and an opportunity to connect one-on-one with our Tergar guides. So in order to explore this learning platform, you can now join with a 10-day free trial by visiting vajrayana.tergar.org or scan the QR code that you see on your screen. We're putting these links in the chats, both here on YouTube, both here on Zoom and also on YouTube. And so you should find them there to be able to join us for this extraordinary year. So before I say goodbye to everyone, the chats are open. Please feel free to connect. And the recording of this session will remain available on YouTube. So you'll be able to come back to it, to share it, and just to, watch it again and again. So what a day, what a gathering, so much to share, so much to say. And I really just want to close with heartfelt thanks to Mingyur Rinpoche for the gift of these teachings, for his willingness to share what is most precious, and for the warmth and clarity he brings to everything. We are just so grateful for our teacher, Mingyur Rinpoche. And a special thank you to Cortland and Antonia for being with us today, and for the year of support and teaching that's coming ahead. And to our translators in the background, your work makes it possible for so many people to receive these teachings. So thank you. And the Tergar staff behind the scenes, particularly Stella and Danielle, thank you. This couldn't happen without you, and we're so grateful. But most of all, to all of you in the audience, to everyone watching, to everyone listening from over 100 countries, from every kind of life, you showed up, and that matters. So thank you so much for being here. Very last thing I need to mention, one small request before you go. When you leave the Zoom, if you're on Zoom, when you leave the webinar, a short survey will appear on your screen. Please take a moment to complete that. Your feedback genuinely helps us. The link should be in the YouTube chat as well. For those on YouTube, please, we do appreciate you clicking and taking just a few moments to share with us. So thanks, everyone. Take good care, and we look forward to continuing this journey with you. On behalf of everyone at Tergar International, bye-bye.